app creation is done on the PLC Next itself. So we need to transfer all the files to the PLC Next, and we can create an app with a simple command, and then install this app. Okay. To create an app, we will SSH into the controller. I should have my password somewhere here. For those of you who don't know, the password is always printed here. And even if you disable user authentication on the web-based management, for SSH you always need to have your password. If you change the admin password in the web-based management, it will also be changed for SSH, yeah, sure. Okay, so going back to my SSH here, we will actually go to the space/media, or let me just explain. So as a default path, you're always at OPT PLC Next, which is the home path for PLC Next. And if you install a regular app, a regular one, which is from our app store, your app will be in app home, okay? And there's one thing to understand. We have the app twice on there. First, if you just transfer it to the controller, it will be in apps. And if you start it, it will be in apps home. Okay? But what we did was change the apps home path to media card user here. I have already something there. I will just, no, I will not, because it takes a long time to transfer it. So I will just remove the app file. Cool. So this is the path media card user here, and with FileZilla, I'm at the same path here, and I just transferred all the files we created to this folder. It's the My App folder, as we can see here. It's the same folder, My App. Cool. And now we can really easy create a new app with the command. I always have to copy everything. With this command, PLC Next app create. I'll just tell it my source folder, my app, and the name I want to give it is Node-RED app. Let's call it Nerd Video App. Just the name. And now it will create an app. This will create the app file. Okay. While this is creating, let's go back to one thing I did not explain. And this is I told you to have your own project in there. So to actually preload a PLC project, we need to create, as I said, this PCWE folder, and in the app info JSON we have the engineering app where we give it a folder. So we could change the folder name, by the way. But how do we get the data? This is real simple. With PLC Engineer, we create our app and load it onto the PLC Next once. And when you load your data to the PLC Next, it will be at the home folder at the OPT PLC Next, and it will always be in the home folder projects file. Okay? And there you see it. That's the file folder you need, PCWE. So you use PLC Next Engineer and load your project once, then it will be at this folder, which you can then simply copy back with FileZilla, for example. You just copy it into your local PCWE folder, PCWE, and then it's there. The app is finished. Okay, so we copy that back, then we have it locally. Okay, the file is copied. Now we click install app. Okay, everything is uploaded, and as you can see, now we have our name here. We have our app ID, version, and manufacturer. I am manufacturer. Cool. Now we need to start all that. We click start. That's cool. Let's do that. It will take a little time. And if we actually want to see what's going on, we can do that. Because we can simply check. We have new folders here, new files here. We have the apps home. Cool. That's what we expected. We have our data folder. Expected. And in there we have the app ID folder. Okay, expected. And in there we have it. The log file on what is going on. And I will now show you the content of that file and how it's progressing. We'll fast forward that for you at the end. So I had time to drink coffee in between. It took actually a really long time, but it worked. So now we could actually check if the Podman containers are there in Podman. To do that, there is one thing. We need to be root on our PLC. To be root, that's really easy. Just set the root password. So set the root password, use the regular password, use a new password, log in as root, and you are in. And now we can check Podman PS -A. Let's check. Yes, wonderful. We see we have Node-RED running and the MariaDB running. Okay. Let's check if in Node-RED we should have preloaded containers. Two things to note with our containers from Phoenix Contact. So the container is actually built to run only in HTTPS. And what we do a lot is to add a 5 in front of the default port. Okay? So with this information you will be able to log into all the containers, but you could have changed all that. Yeah? Do you remember we had everything here? We had the ports, we had everything in Docker Compose. So it should be in an environment file. There it is, the port. So we could have changed that. Still, we did not. Let's use it that way. And we start this whole thing, which is really cool here. You can see we have my predefined flow here. And as you can see, let's check the MariaDB connection is already up and running. Why is it up and running? Because in MariaDB, I set database host as MariaDB, which is the name of the Docker container. And since we are in a existing Docker network, we can use this name. That's really cool. So we started it and everything is connected and running. That's amazing. Okay, it is already connected to the PLC and is reading variables. How is that possible? Because the PLC is not in a Docker network. PLC is running on the host actually. That's a really cool thing in Podman. I found this, as every good programmer on Stack Overflow, host containers internal. That's a default IP for Podman to access the host from a container. So what I did is we have these parts here to access variables. As PLC connector, I used as host containers internal, which is accessing the host. The host is my PLC, and then I read PLC data. Now I am connected immediately. I read PLC data. I read especially this data, the global data point table. Why is they're variable. Yeah, why not? Because we now have the IoT framework running on PLC Next, because it was in our app. It was the app I copy pasted from this PCWE folder, if you remember. And now we have the global data point table. Isn't that amazing? So we have everything here. We have the app, we have our 2 containers, everything is connected. I did not have set up anything. And if another customer has a different IP address in his PLC, it doesn't concern us. It still works. This is Snap now, it works. It just works, and I'm always amazed that it's just that easy. Okay, I only used the SQL part here. As you can see, we could have a lot of other stuff here, InfluxDBs. I only used that one. Yeah, I could try to log in to the database itself. Let's see if this is working. We create a new, we have a new one. Create a new one, MariaDB, which is running on. To connect from externally, we will need the IP, that's for sure. And the 2 users were PLC Next, if you remember correctly. And port is, again, with a 5. Let's see if something is happening here. Yes. Alright, as you can see, it opened, and there is a database PLC Next with IIoT framework. Why is this there? Because this already created the database there. This already created the table IoT framework. So as we've seen, it started automatically because we initial check-in is here. We inject after 2 seconds. This will create everything, and now we have timestamp every second here. In case you're wondering why I do it this way, is because I have a different function here which injects every 15 minutes, but only if it's exactly 00, 15, 30 or 45, 00. So I've calculated and injected. And now we should actually, because I see that it's 15, not sure what the PLC Next has as time. Yeah, see our data already, because it was just, as you can see, it used just to be 15 and it was injected at 12:15. Why 12 and why 13? Because the PLC Next is running on UTC time. That's 1 hour in Austria here at the moment. Different. Okay. I guess that's it. You have one app. This app in the wrong folder. I actually have to fix that. It's in here. It should be outside. This cool app you can distribute to your customer. You can just tell them install your stuff with this app. Everything is on there. PLC Next app. All the containers, all the configuration. And really simple. We used existing components. Sure, I guess the good programmers under you can do that all by yourself, but I think in this script there are some good hints we need to follow. So the guys who actually created those apps are amazing and they did a good job there. Why not use this work and just create our new apps on top of theirs? Just don't invent the wheel twice, right? Okay, I will try to upload this whole source code to a GitHub. We'll provide the link. Don't have that done yet. I have to check if I'm allowed actually. And yeah, so thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much, for joining, I can say. Have a good day. Stay safe. Bye-bye.